The envelope slid under the apartment door at 2:17 a.m. with a soft rasp that sliced straight through my dream. I sat up in the dark, heart already sprinting, and stared at the plain white rectangle glowing faintly on the hardwood. No stamp, no address. Just my name in Mia's looping handwriting. I knew before I even tore it open that whatever was inside would change the shape of every tomorrow I'd planned. I carried it to the kitchen, flicked on the under-cabinet light, and unfolded the single sheet. Jake, I can't keep pretending. Leo isn't yours. I'm so sorry. The words blurred. My pulse thumped in my ears like a fist on a locked door. Leo, our son, 2 years old, asleep in the next room with his dinosaur blanket pulled to his chin, wasn't mine. I read it again and again, until the letters stopped swimming and settled into a cold, undeniable truth. I stood there until the coffee maker clicked off, until the fridge hummed itself awake, until the first gray seam of dawn crept across the tiles. Then I walked to Leo's room. He lay on his side, one arm flung above his head, lips parted in a tiny whistle. I studied the slope of his cheek, the cowlick at the crown of his head, the way his lashes cast shadows on skin that looked nothing like mine. I'd memorized every inch of him the day he was born, how the nurse had placed him, slick and squalling, on Mia's chest, and how I'd cried harder than both of them combined. I'd cut the cord. I'd named him after my grandfather. I'd sung him to sleep every night for 730 nights. Now a stranger stared back at me from the crib. I closed the door without a sound and went to the living room. The envelope lay on the coffee table like evidence. I sat on the couch, knees apart, hands dangling between them, and waited for Mia to come home from her night shift. She slipped in at 6:42, smelling of hospital antiseptic and winter air. Her scrubs were wrinkled. Her ponytail had surrendered hours ago. She startled when she saw me. Jake. Her voice cracked on the second syllable. You're awake. I held up the note. Tell me this is a joke. Her gaze dropped to the paper, then to the floor. I wish it was. The room shrank until the only air left was the space between us. Who? I asked. The word scraped out raw. She pressed her lips together. Tears welled, but she didn't let them fall. Ethan. Ethan. My best friend since freshman orientation. The guy who'd stood beside me at the altar, who'd toasted us with cheap champagne and promised to love Leo like his own if anything ever happened to me. The guy I'd asked, 6 months ago, over beers in our backyard, to be Leo's godfather because you've earned it, man. He'd hugged me so hard my ribs creaked. I laughed, a sound like breaking glass. You let me beg him to be family. Mia flinched. I didn't know how to stop it. Stop what? The affair or the lie? Both. She sank onto the ottoman, elbows on knees. It was one night. One stupid, drunk night after Leo's first birthday. You were deployed. I was lonely and scared and... Lonely. I echoed. I called you every day from a sandbox hellhole. I sent videos of me reading Goodnight Moon to a camera so you could play it for him. I counted hours until I could hold you both. I know. Her voice broke. I know what I took from you. I stood, needing distance before I shattered. When did you find out? 6 weeks ago. The paternity kit. Ethan bought it as a joke for his sister's baby shower. I saw it in his drawer and... She swallowed. I had to know. 6 weeks. She'd carried this for 6 weeks while I planned Leo's second birthday, while I hung the dinosaur piñata, while I practiced the song I'd written for him on my guitar. 6 weeks of her kissing me goodnight, asking about my day, laughing when Leo smeared cake on my shirt. I walked to the window. Outside, the city was waking up, indifferent. Does he know? Ethan? Yeah. He wants to meet Leo. Says he'll step up. Step up. As if fatherhood were a relay baton he could grab mid-race. I turned. And you? What do you want? She looked at me then, really looked, and I saw the wreckage I'd missed. Dark circles, bitten nails, the way her shoulders curled inward like she was bracing for a blow. I want to fix this, she whispered. I want us to be a family. Too late. My voice sounded foreign, flat. You don't get to decide what family means after you rewrote the definition behind my back. Leo's cry floated down the hallway, thin, confused, searching. Mia started to rise. I held up a hand. I've got him. I lifted him from the crib, pressed his warm weight against my chest. He smelled like baby shampoo and sleep. His tiny fingers curled around my thumb the way they always did. Dada, he mumbled into my neck. The word punched a hole straight through me. I carried him to the kitchen, settled him in his high chair, and poured cereal he wouldn't eat because he only wanted the blue bowl. Routine. Muscle memory. I went through the motions while my mind screamed. Mia hovered in the doorway. Jake. Not now. I didn't look at her. I need space. She nodded, tears finally spilling. I'll stay at my sister's. I didn't stop her. That afternoon Ethan texted. Can we talk? Please. I stared at the message until the screen went black. Then I drove to the lab downtown, the one with the discreet sign and the 24-hour drop box. I'd ordered the kit online at 4 a.m. Overnight shipping. Leo's cheek swab was already in the envelope. Mine went in next. I paid extra for 48-hour results. 2 days later, the email arrived while I was pushing Leo on the park swing. The subject line was a string of numbers. I opened it with one thumb. Probability of paternity 0%. The swing slowed. Leo squealed. Higher, Dada. I pushed harder, mechanical, until the words blurred behind my eyes. That night, I sat Ethan down on my couch. The same couch where he'd fallen asleep during movie nights. Where Leo had taken his first steps toward him. Ethan looked smaller than I remembered, shoulders hunched inside his hoodie. I loved her first, he said before I could speak. Before you even met her. I let you have her because you were my brother. I laughed bitter. So this is payback? No, he rubbed his palms on his jeans. It's regret. And guilt. And wanting to do right by my kid. Your kid. I tasted metal. You don't get to claim him after I changed every diaper. Walked every 3 a.m. floor. Saved every dime for his college fund. I know. His voice cracked. I know what I stole. We sat in silence thick enough to choke on. Finally I said, I'm filing for custody. Full. You can have supervised visits when the court says so. Ethan's head snapped up. Jake. You don't get to be dad. You forfeited that the night you crawled into my bed, while I was halfway around the world defending strangers. He left without another word. The divorce was ugly. Lawyers, mediators, Leo clutching my leg while Mia sobbed in the hallway. I kept the apartment, the blue bowl, the dinosaur blanket. Mia got weekends. Ethan got nothing but a court order and the weight of what he'd broken. 6 months later, I stood in the same kitchen where the envelope had arrived. Leo was napping. Sunlight striped the floor. My phone buzzed, an email from the lab. I'd sent another sample just to be sure. The results were the same, 0%. I deleted the email, picked up Leo's stuffed triceratops and walked to his room. He stirred when I sat on the edge of the bed. Dada. Sleepy, trusting. I'm here, buddy. I smoothed his hair. Always. Outside the city kept moving. Inside I held my son, and let the pieces of a shattered life settle into something new. Not whole. Not yet. But ours.